Right then, so if we look here then, Leighton, in terms of your putting setup, for me there's a lot of good things with your setup. Your head's nicely over the ball, so the top of your head now sort of flat to the sky, your eyes over the golf ball there nicely, nice bending with your arms into your side. You look very much under control with that putter at the start. The problem is, as we said, this little movement in here, the gap between that left wrist and the club there now, it changes, okay? So as we go back, it's only slight, but it doesn't need to be a lot to go and send that ball off. So it gets a little bit closer there, okay? So your torso's not really moving. As we come through now, okay, there's a bit of a jab with that wrist. And you want to see that right forearm also like just throwing that club at the golf ball. Not really much torso turning. In terms of the actual movement, if we just sort of zoom in there and just watch it, you can sort of see that. There's a bit of a jab there. The top of the club's got a bit of a wobble to it. Back and through. And it just sends the ball just way too far. So placing the golf ball in there now, you can see now it's all moving a little bit more. All as one unit, okay? So the body itself is actually now moving. Okay? So we're not creating a sudden change of direction. So your club now can swing. This is probably a little bit on the long side, but again, this just went about 3 or 4 foot past, okay? But at least the length of swing now is sort of slightly longer back and controlled through, whereas this one here now is before when you swung the golf club back, because you don't want to go too far, you almost just jab the putter at the golf ball, and you can see after the ball has been hit, watch the club face's movement, okay? So just watch the club face after the ball so it kind of goes and then it comes back, When we see a putter recoiling back here, it's usually an indication the wrist has done a little bit of this, right? And the wrist doesn't want to stay there, So we swing through and we go, oh, that's a bit tight on the wrist, and then we just unhinge that. So the club then recoils back, okay? Whereas this one, as you swing through now, because the body's not hinged, so the club stays there. So the club staying this side of the start position is a good sign that you've not really flicked the wrist. If you flick the wrist, as I said, this way, the wrist doesn't want to stay there, it'll just recoil back. So it's not a question then saying, oh, don't recoil the club. Because that's the thing, we're not sure, okay, and then trying to jab it or follow through or do something, okay? It's more of an indicator that says, okay, if your club after the shot, if the club after the shot has come back, it's a symptom of the wrist flicking, okay? So that wrist getting a little bit kind of active there and that bottom hand doing this, it just sends a bit too much power to the back of the ball. And then the ball goes too far.
Well, that's right. And what I said was, I do things at 90 miles an hour. I do. I get told off about it all the time. But I want to get it done. And that's what I need to relax.
I think, definitely grip pressure needs to be nice and soft, okay?
And
it's controlling exactly that wrist,
It's coming across really strong. Is that chill out sort of thing.
Basically.
Because you make better shots when you're more relaxed.
Well, if we said to anybody now, okay, let's throw that ball into a bucket on the fairground, right? And just there'd be no tension in your body. You wouldn't stand there and tense your quads or tense your chest in your arm and then try and launch it, okay? You're just going to go and just fling it, Because it's something that we know we're going to try and do, okay? It's a fairly natural move to make. The problem, as we said, with a lot of people's putting practice, as you saw, it usually involves just hitting the same putt until it gets the right distance. The first one was still going now, to be fair, had the ball not been there. And the next 2 or 3 got a bit shorter. By about ball 6, I think it was, we got the right pace. But we can't have 6 goes from the same putt on the golf course, okay? If we did have that, I'd be on TV winning millions, So when you're on the golf course, it's got to be that first putt and judging the pace with using the bigger muscles to control the club. So I would practice with that ball there in that left wrist.
It's a good idea, actually.
And have it up in front of you. So the club now sort of being up here somewhere, you're vertical with your spine and the club out, as if you're holding a book or an iPad. Just stood like this and just basically move it around this way. It's almost like you're panning. If I said to you now, say for example, you had a camera and you're going to try and pan the camera around to get up, you wouldn't sort of go and flick your wrist. You turn your torso, because if you did that, say, slow down the movement or going too fast, you just move bigger muscles because you can move it slower.
Again, psychologically, because I have in the past, and thinking it's this that has got it, not
Because
helps.
people think that the body is a power source or creates the ball going a long way, which it does have its needs for, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But very often we create a lot more speed than we want when we stop the body and the hands flick.
Yeah.
When you look at the tour players, when they hit their long drives, they're coiling up a big, as they get back to the ball, their body stops and then they go, and they just snap their wrist at it.
Yeah.
So the body actually stopping creates that kind of chucking of the club to the golf ball. If we're putting and the body's not moving at all and we're just doing this with the wrists, that flicking sensation just sends that ball off the club face too fast and it whizzes too far beyond the hole. And then the next few putts are just like, almost like scared of tapping it too hard, rather than just sort of going dunk, dunk, and being under more control with that club.
Yeah. No, I appreciate it.
Okie dokie, that makes sense then, Leighton. Okay, so I'd work on that, put that ball in that wrist joint. And it kind of the same kind of principle with your chipping, okay? You did a bit of stuff there with that chipping, keeping that body and the arms moving through. Once that right hand wrist flicks at it.
It's just common sense. I know.
Hopefully,
it is. But it's,
unfortunately, with golfers, common sense doesn't always sink in, does it?
That's right.
Yeah.
It's very, very. It's easy.
But it's moving this at the top of your shoulder. Right. That's the key thing. That's what moves the golf club. Okie dokie.
Yeah.